Howdy, folks. Spencer here, and today I want to talk to you about the Friendship Command Flight Deck Carrier that was just announced on the August 1st, 2023 10 Forward stream. As always, chapters will be listed down below for those of you that want to skip ahead. The first thing I want to take a look at is how do you get this ship? Well, as the 10 Forward title implies, it is an Infinity Lockbox ship, which means you can get it via the player exchange, via opening Infinity Lockboxes, or by being patient and waiting for the next event campaign. The event campaign in 2024 will have the ability to get you this ship, so if you really want it, but you don't want to dump a ton of money into the game, then just wait a year and you can get it from that next event campaign. Now, if you want to get it right now, it'll be on PC in the next week or so, and if you're on console, it'll probably be arriving to the Infinity Lockbox there sometime in September. So it's going to be expensive, but there will be a route to get it for free. You're just going to have to wait a year. Now, the ship itself, as you can see with the floaty nacelles there, is from Star Trek Discovery. The design of it is sort of similar to the Halo melee weapon also, as Kale even showed off on stream there. It looks like the design may have taken some inspirations from this melee weapon. It wasn't a ship that was shown very prominently in Star Trek Discovery. Usually when it was on screen, it was somewhere in the background. So if you look at this picture of this fleet shot here, you can see a couple of these sitting in the back. There's one, there's a second, and there looks to be a third. So it was never something that was shown up close. It was just always off in the distance whenever, again, there was a large fleet sitting there. Next up is the stats of this thing. So the Friendship Command Flight Deck Carrier is a 4-4 carrier. So you've got 4-4 and 4 aft weapons, 2 hangar bays, 4 device slots, 5 engineering consoles, 3 science consoles, and 3 tactical. Historically, an engineering heavy ship like this would have been criticized. However, in the past couple of months, they have introduced some new advanced consoles that have really changed how to look at ships like this. So, with a ship like this, once you go through and do a T6X upgrade on it to get that universal console, you would have the ability to slot either 6 ISO mags on it to boost your energy weapons up by boosting your weapon power up massively, or you could run 6 of the Hangar Craft power transmission consoles, which will provide a boost to your Hangar Pets. So if you're looking at a ship like this, you do have routes to make it fairly competitive against more tac-focused ships out there via these advanced engineering consoles, which are nothing to ignore. These are legitimately very good consoles to use. Now, for the pets that this ship has, they are nothing special. And in fact, I would say most of you getting this ship will probably take the pets off, throw them away, and just use something else. The 32nd Century Federation shuttlecraft are what this thing has. These were previously available on the Marion Command Science Dreadnought. They just have some beam arrays on them, and they have this structural integrity manipulator, which can drain hull from your target and then can restore its hull. So it's a set of pets that really are it's a neat concept. It just doesn't really have much practical value in the current state of the game. And most of you going for a ship like the Friendship are going to be better off just ripping those pets off and putting on some like fighter squadrons or whatever unbound frigate pets that you can put on it. So that would be my recommendation. Just ignore the pets and use better ones. Heading over to the bridge officer side of things, we have a commander engineer with command, which will be very good for those of you that like tanking or torp boats. Then we have a lieutenant commander tac with intel, pretty good combo with the command. Lieutenant commander science, lieutenant universal, and an ensign universal. That commander command, lieutenant commander intel combo has been really popular over the past couple of years. And one of the most notable ships with that combo is the Styx Terran Dreadnought, which is one of the best tanks in the game. So that is definitely a ship that I want to compare this against. And another ship that I thought looked very comparable was the Voth Rampart from a couple years ago. So Over in the comparison sheet here, I have the Styx, first the Friendship, first the Voth Rampart. All of these ships have a 4-4 setup. The Friendship and the Voth Rampart both have 2 hangar bays. The Styx only has 1 hangar bay and does have 1 less engineering console in exchange for 1 additional attack. But while the Styx does have 1 less hangar bay, it does have access to the Styx Terran frigates, which are exclusive to the Styx class of ships, and that is one of the better frigate pets in the game because it has fire at will, attack pattern beta, and suppression barrage on it. Just a really good pet for going out and debuffing your enemies. So even though the Styx is at a deficit when it comes to hangar bays, it has access to a much better pet for like tanking or support. Now, for the bridge officer setup on these things, the Friendship and Voth, let's start with those. Those are both very close. The difference is the Voth Rampart has a Lieutenant Universal with Miracle Worker, and on the Friendship, the secondary spec seat is on the Lieutenant Commander TAC. So it's set up slightly different, but they are comparable. As for which is better, that's going to depend on, what type of build you're going for. I think for some of you looking for a command carrier, you're still going to have times where the Voth Rampart may be a better option for you, especially if you can't afford to give away the seating on that Lieutenant Commander TAC there. You may have instances where the Voth Rampart's better for you. You may have builds where the Friendship will work better for you. So between those two, I think that's going to, which to go for is going to depend on what type of build you're wanting to set up. Now, the Styx versus the Friendship is where things get a little bit more interesting comparison-wise. You see, the Styx loses the fixed Lieutenant Commander Science, and in exchange, the Force Science seat is downgraded to a Lieutenant Science, and the seat that has the Lieutenant Commander Intel is a Universal. So you still have the Lieutenant Commander TAC here, whereas on the Friendship, the only Lieutenant Commander TAC you can get is also the Intel seat. Now, the issues that you can encounter with that is that you're forced to choose, do you want to put a Lieutenant Commander TAC ability there or a Lieutenant Commander Intel ability? On the Friendship, you have to pick. On the Styx, you don't. You can just run both at the compromise of losing that Lieutenant Commander Science. So again, it's going to depend on what type of build you're going for with these. How exactly you want the bridge officer setup to go, but I think those of you looking to set up a more aggressive tank that are still focused on just raw damage output, the Styx is probably going to be your better option still, because you can be a bit more tactical with its bridge officer seating. With the Friendship, I think it's still going to be perfectly capable. It's just that if you're looking at these two, that Styx does have an advantage with it having a bit more room to fit some high level tactical abilities if you wanted to do so. Now, I did have a couple other notes, and the biggest, I've already said most of these, but the biggest takeaway for the Styx, in this comparison is the fact that the Styx is in the 13th anniversary bundle. All of these ships up here in this comparison are lockbox ships, but 2 of them are available through other means. The Rampart is available in the Muds in Command bundle, if I recall. So that's $150 if you want to get that on account-wide unlock, plus 2 other ships. And the Styx is available account-wide via the 13th bundle. So $110 will get you the Styx and 5 other ships on account-wide unlock, plus a T6 coupon and all the other stuff that bundle has. So, with lockbox ships costing like $100 a piece to get right now, the Friendship is nice, but it's very comparable to the Styx and the Rampart. And for the foreseeable future, until they put it into a Muds bundle or something, it is only going to be available via the lockbox. And that means it's $100 basically to get it for a single character. So if you're sitting here looking at which of these ships to get, you definitely need to factor the cost in. And if it were me, and I was looking at, I want to get a command intel ship to set up as a tank, I'm probably going to go with the sticks because for 110 bucks, I can get the 13th bundle, get that on account wide reclaimable unlock, and every character can get it. With the friendship, I'm spending 100 bucks to get that one ship for a single character. And if you go, again, if you go for the sticks with that 13th bundle, you're getting 5 other ships plus a T6 coupon and all the other stuff. So it just makes sense to me that if you're looking at a command intel platform, that you would just go for the sticks over the friendship, just given the current cost. But if all things were equal and all ships were, available for the same price, I think it would be hard to pick, which of these to go with for each, for whatever build you're wanting to do. They're all close. Some of these are going to work a little bit better for some builds. Some of these are going to work better for others. So in a world where all 3 of these ships have equal cost to you to obtain, it's going to be a matter of your specific setup that you're looking to use on the ship. Heading over to the console, we have the power transfer emitters here. This has passives for 2.6% increased critical chance, plus 28.5 Starship hull restoration, and plus 10% increased Hangar Pet critical chance. Now, there's not many ways to boost Hangar Pet crit chance, so this is going to be one of the few ways in the game to do so, and I think the only way to have it constantly there, because the other method out there I think is with the Jirok console, and I think that's just for a limited duration. So that's potentially a pretty nice boost for your Hangar Pets. Just keep in mind, even if your pets have crit chance, you won't have much crit severity on them. So just keep that in mind. Like, it'll be a boost, but it's not going to be the same as you putting an extra 10% crit chance on your actual ship. For the clicky here, this will give an ally crit chance and electrical blast. So when you use this console on an ally, when they critically strike, they will deal some electrical damage to up to 3 nearby foes. The damage this does is increased if the ally is a Hangar Pet or separated ship segment, and this can occur 5 times per second. The second part of the clicky is a crit chance boost of 10% for 20 seconds, and if the targeted ally is a Hangar Pet, then that would be tripled up to 30%. So if you stack this alongside the Jirok console, you could potentially be boosting your Hangar Pet crit chance by a very large amount for short durations. And it looks like this can also be used on non-pet allies. So if this can be used on players, this may also be a very interesting console from like a supported environment point of view. Like, you may see record runs being set where players, the supporting players on a team, are using this console and they're putting the buffs on the DPS player, and then the DPS player is getting, a pretty large boost out of this. So might be interesting from that point of view also. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. Now, there is one big disclaimer here, and thanks to Joe and Stowe for catching this and sending me this clip. So let's listen to this before you guys go too crazy about the console.
It gives them crit chance, and a sizable chunk of crit chance, like a pretty serious amount of crit chance. And while they have the buff, any critical hits they perform will zap their foe for pretty significant damage. So it's like if you remember the mycelial lightning proc from the disco rep, it's kind of like that. It's like a little zappy. Damage is right now roughly around a beam array shot. That might come up or down. We have a lot more wiggle room for this because it's donating power, so it can be allowed to be a little more powerful than selfish power. But it is, it's on the strong side, so the numbers you're seeing here might come down a little bit. It's kind of hard to parse, so we'll see.
So that's just a really good disclaimer to have right off the bat here with this, is that as is, when it goes live, it might be a bit strong and it may need to be tuned down in the future. So just keep that in mind if you are interested in getting this ship for this console, that it may possibly be tuned in the future if it is deemed to be too powerful once players get their hands on it and start playing with it. So just keep that in mind. I think, though, that's mostly looking at the clicky portion of it. I think many of you are still going to be interested in it just for the passive side of it. So I think it looks very interesting, and I look forward to seeing how it plays out. And next up is the Starship Trait. Cooperation is the dominant strategy. Using powers on allies will provide additional bonuses to those allies. Specifically, using a Bridge Officer ability or Universal Console on an ally will apply a stack of Friendship as Science. This can stack up to 5 times, and each stack will grant to non-hanger allies, so other players, plus 10% Cat 2 bonus damage for 30 seconds per stack. And if the targeted ally is a Hangar Pet or separated ship segment, the damage boost is increased to 20% Cat 2 bonus damage for 30 seconds. And again, that stacks up to 5 times potentially, so if you're using this to boost another player, that's potentially 50% Cat 2 that you can get for that other player. And if you're using this to boost up a pet or like a separated saucer, then you could potentially be giving that up to a 100% Cat 2 damage boost. Now, realistically, I don't think this trait is going to be that useful for most of you, even those of you that like to run carriers, because the issue with this trait is how much engagement it looks like it requires. So using a Bridge Officer ability or Universal Console on an ally, does that mean, you for a Bridge Officer ability, that would be you going and clicking that ally and then hitting like an Ox to Sif on them, or hazard emitters, an Inge team, something like that. Not many people do that in just general gameplay, and I think most of you running a carrier, you're not going to click a pet and manually put like an Ox to Sif on it constantly throughout the combat. So I think this is a trait that's not really going to see much mainstream use. But for those of you that are into more coordinated play, especially like DPS chasing, this looks like something that would be really interesting on like a support build, especially if this is able to stack with multiple players running this trait. Imagine a DPS run where 4 people are running this to boost up the main DPS player. If it stacks up, 5 stacks per player, then they could potentially be giving a 200% Cat 2 damage boost there. I don't know if it'll stack up that much, but that's what I'm thinking of with this trait. But for most of you, I think that this trait is something to skip over. I think it's just too much work for the return you're getting from it. Realistically, how many of you in chat how many of you watching right now actually go out and hit like Ox to Sif on your Hangar Pets, or on another player? How many of you even do that stuff anymore? So it's an interesting concept, but I just don't see much practical use for it outside of really high-end coordinated environments. So to wrap everything up here and just give my final thoughts, I think the Friendship Command Flight Deck Carrier is a good ship. The issue with it is, of course, the cost. It is a lockbox ship, and when you're looking at lockbox ships in the current state of the game, the current state of the market, you're looking at about $100 to reliably be able to pick up any of these lockbox ships. And when you're looking at putting $100 into the game, that does put you into the territory of some of the larger anniversary bundles. And unfortunately for the Friendship, the Styx Terran Dreadnought Cruiser, which is a very comparable ship to the Friendship, is available in the 13th anniversary bundle that was released earlier this year. The 13th anniversary bundle for $110 will get you, during a 35% sale, will get you the Styx Terran Dreadnought alongside 5 other really good ships, plus a T6 coupon, for about what the Friendship is going to cost you to get on a single character. So from a cost point of view, I can't really recommend the Friendship. Rather, the Styx is a very, very similar ship that is much more accessible in that price range, especially given the fact that it would be account-wide unlocked with 13th bundle. So the Friendship, from a cost point of view, is very hard to recommend. But the Friendship itself, stat-wise, is very good. It's comparable to platforms like the Styx, or the Voth Rampart, and the accessories on it look extremely appealing for those of you that like to boost other players or like to boost up your Hangar Pets. The console has a really nice passive on it for Hangar Pet crit chance, and the console also has a clicky on it that will give your targeted ally a large electrical damage boost and some extra crit chance. Now, the issue with the console is that they've already stated that it is launching in a very strong state and may need to be tuned after release based on what they see from player performance. So just keep in mind, if you're aiming for the secondary components of the ship, that there may be some tuning required later on down the line. And for the Starship Trait on this thing, I think it's an interesting concept, but I just think it's going to be very, very niche in its use case, because I just don't think most of you are going to sit there and use things like, Ox to Sif on your Hangar Pets to keep this buff up. So from a supported run point of view, in that coordinated environment, I think this will be a really good trait. But for general play, I think it's one that's not going to have too much impact. So overall, I think it's a really neat platform. I think everything about it is pretty neat. I'll be picking one up here when this goes live in the next week or so. I think it looks good. I think everything about this looks good, other than the cost. That is the one limiting factor. And again, when you just look at that cost, the fact that this is going to be $100 for a single character, and the fact that the sticks can be acquired for $100 account wide, basically, it's really hard to go with the friendship over those alternative options. So that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them down below. Thank you for watching, and see you guys around.